The Steam Deck is a wonderful piece of hardware. It plays a large majority of games, and there's no lack of content to enjoy. Sometimes you want to shoot someone in the face. And when I want to shoot someone in the face, my preferred means of doing it is to play Call of Duty. Now, we know that Call of Duty has gone downhill pretty damn badly over the last few iterations. So bad, in fact, that I went from calling in sick the day after Call of Duty came out to essentially snubbing the entire franchise outside of a few older titles. So why are we here? Yes, I want to shoot someone in the face, and Black Ops 6 brought a few new things to the table, like the Omni movement, a fairly acclaimed campaign, and thank the maker, the zombies are back on track to being the wave-based corpse pile-up it should be. Now, this is largely a Steam Deck channel, and if there are two things that are further apart than fire and water, it's Call of Duty and Steam Deck. Sometimes you want to shoot someone in the face, and since I wanted to do it on my deck via Call of Duty, I had a journey ahead. I share the journey with you today. Let's get down to brass tacks here. There is no way to run Black Ops 6 on a Steam Deck out of the box. There's no Magic Proton version, there's no special Proton DB wizardry, or even a GE Proton built that can make these Windows kernel-based anti-cheat games work on the Steam Deck. Have to have Windows. There are really three ways to run Windows on the Steam Deck. Dual boot using the internal drive, create a bootable SD card that has Windows on it, and finally using an external flash drive or hard drive to boot Windows from. Each one of these have pluses and minuses. Dual booting internally is convenient, but it tends to get wiped out during updates, and you're sharing your precious internal storage space on it. Booting off the SD card is great. It's like having a Windows cartridge, and it can be fully divorced and self-contained Windows ecosystem. Sure, you need a super high-quality card, and you're still going to suffer some performance issues with the operating system, but gaming seems pretty darn good. And as you can see, with the MW3 beta, I was playing off of an SD card solution. It plays pretty well. That's appealing, and it doesn't take up the USB-C port used for power, which is a big deal because of the third way, which is using an external drive, and that can get unwieldy very quickly. It is hard to find a portable solution, aka not using a dock, that will allow us to continuously charge and power the deck while the drive is in operation. I've explored the latter of these two a couple of times, and thanks to a drive I reviewed earlier in the year, the Qwiizlab SSD Enclosure with the magnetic attachment solution and PD power pass-through, I decided that this would be my best choice for this journey. I used my 256GB SSD I pulled out of my original LCD Steam Deck, which should be enough for Windows 11, Steam, and Call of Duty Black Ops 6. In my other videos, I used a Steam Deck to do all the lifting, but this time, I'm using my desktop workstation running Windows 11 to do all the hard work. My first steps were to acquire the software necessary for the task. I needed a Windows 11 ISO, Rufus, and all the drivers for the Steam Deck OLED, and yes, they are all available right now. Now, there was a temptation to find a tiny Windows image out there on the internet, but instead I elected to get a clean ISO from Microsoft and use Rufus to write a Windows 11 to-go version directly on the hard drive in question. Sure, I get the bloat, but I was ensured a clean experience with no risk. Rufus also gives me the ability to remove all the restrictions with Win 11, such as TPM, forced Microsoft account, and other nasty, ugly things. Once the drive was done, I used a tool called AOMI Partition Manager to split the main partition into a 60GB partition for Windows, and the rest, about 178GB in my case, for Drive D, where I would install my Steam games. Of course, you could use free partitioning software or even Windows to do this, but I loves me some AOMI, and since it's my journey, you get to see my software. Since Windows 11 doesn't have deck drivers included, which means no internet without being plugged into a deck and wired to Ethernet, I need to stash all the drivers for the OLED deck on that new D drive partition, so it'll be ready when I boot up for the first time. My first boot on the Steam Deck takes a while to finish up, but thanks to Rufus gutting all the undesirables out of Win 11, it wasn't quite as bad as usual. Practically zero setup, in fact. Now, the screen shows up in landscape and the mouse is all whacked out as a result of that, so the touchscreen is my friend. With the screen orientation fixed, we're ready to install drivers. One by one, I installed the drivers, giving me access to Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and the display drivers. which will be very important to playing games here. Since Windows is Windows, we'll need to do a massive number of updates they want to send down the pipe. Now, this is a good time to pop it into a dock with a mouse and a keyboard and do all that fun Windows stuff. We'll need to make sure the deck has power through this so it doesn't die right in the middle of things. I do have some de-bloating to do, but I'll save that for couch lounging while I watch TV. Let's get Steam installed and start the massive download for Black Ops 6. Be sure to jump into the DLC section first and turn off the insane amount of nonsense they want to download with the Black Ops 6 main game. I had Black Ops 6 installed on my desktop PC on the same network, so local network transfer kicked in, and it was going to take 40 plus minutes. That's fine, I've got a Dr. Odyssey to watch while I wait. That said, all the initial heavy lifting was done. Of course, the first run of COD is much like installing an OS. It takes forever, and shader caches take a long time to get built, and unlike a well-equipped PC, it's not optional to let them finish. The game will be completely unplayable if you do. Finally, at long last, we completed everything, and it was quite the road to travel. Fortunately for my needs, this is all I need. A fully updated Windows 11, all the drivers needed, and COD's first run nonsense is all over. Now I'm ready to shoot someone in the face gloriously over and over again, and it was good. This journey isn't right for everyone, of course, but it turned out to be a pretty great one for me. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some enemy to run down with a baseball bat. We'll see you next time.